Alright, hello everyone. My name is Yvonne Gilman, and today I will be presenting on ethical practices in businesses. Just a brief introduction. I would like to introduce what are business ethics. So, business ethics are moral principles that guide companies to act with honesty, fairness, and responsibility. So, they're kind of like the practices and values that these businesses are built on and constructed on that influence how they act. So you might be wondering, why are they important or how can they be important? So ethical exchanges and practices can build trust, boost your reputation, as well as ensure longer success. This can also improve customer loyalty, employee satisfaction, and legal compliances. So it's not only just important to have good, clean transactions with your clients or customers, but this also just goes on a basis of employees and filing taxes. And if people come do checkups, like making sure everything's up to standards, just making sure everyone is satisfied to make sure everyone's being successful and happy and having open communication. Um, Next, we will be moving on to key concepts from chapters 3 and 4. So some of the things that I took away are leadership. So ethical leadership and management is key to like maintaining a lot of trust, making sure your team has a lot of faith in your decisions and what you're doing, as well as just like kind of ensuring organizational success. Next, I want to move on kind of to the culture of being ethical and operating in a corporate space. So corporate culture and personal values, kind of like I previously mentioned, shape decision making and influence how companies handle diversity and success. So when you have like a lot of people on your team and a lot of different markets and a lot of different moving components, you really want to make sure everyone's able to openly communicate and understand each other, so that clean decisions can be made on a quick basis if need be. Um, Following that, we have globalization, which was very prevalent in chapter 4. Um, this can present a lot of opportunities, but as well as risk. A lot of companies fail at globalizing themselves, just because of how like kind of the challenges that impose themselves. So like this management needs to be balanced with not only just upkeeping with the market, but as well as being culturally like appropriate and adaptable. So I know in like if you, for instance, if you open a fast food restaurant overseas, like a McDonald's, you might want to adjust what you serve there based on what client and market you're serving there, and maybe religious beliefs or dietary restrictions. But yeah, and then moving on to one of the last key points I found in chapter 4 is global success. In order to have global success, you need to have effective management that not only balances consistency at trying to be adaptable, but as well as just being organized for success. That's all key and takeaways that I had from chapters 3 and 4. Moving on, next we have a case study from a actual real world example. I decided to take it from a very popular and seen coffee company, which would be Starbucks. They had a racial bias incident in 2018, I believe. The ethical issue that arose from this was two black men were arrested for trespassing on Starbucks property while waiting for a friend. So this kind of arose a lot of concerns for racial bias and discrimination. So Starbucks' response to this, Starbucks apologized publicly and closed their stores for a couple days, just for racial bias training and to review and kind of remind employees of the company policies. So some of the consequences that Starbucks faced is they faced a lot of public backlash as well as protest. So there was a huge decline in clients. Not as many people were buying coffee because a lot of people were enraged at what had happened. Now, I don't know if this is stayed like that. Starbucks is still super popular, but a positive that can be seen that arose from this is There was a lot of increased awareness for racial biases in companies. So a lot of companies started integrating similar training to Starbucks to try to prevent and harm, or try to prevent and protect the company from harm. And this also kind of arose a stronger commitment to inclusivity. Following the case study, we have my input of the readings, the slideshows, some of the class materials, some of our classmates' comments. So following our first point, I have ethical leadership builds trust and long-term success for organizations. It's been proven through organizations like Apple or Amazon, who not only treat their employees well, but also have adapted globally to be able to serve and be a reliable company on a larger scale. Following that, I have globalization requires balancing local needs and upkeeping company values. So not only is it important while you're a startup company starting in a town, opposed to becoming global, it's especially important while you're becoming global to uphold and upkeep your company values and keep that strong, because as your company grows and you have more moving parts on your team, you definitely want to have um, strong moral values and ethics to move upon. So, kind of elaborating on that, companies must adapt to cultural differences while maintaining ethical standards. Similar to, like, if you want to have success overseas, there might be some things that you have to change or some new people that you have to introduce onto your team. So you definitely need to keep yourself strong and have good willpower. Last point I want to make on my input is strong ethical structure helps business navigate problems and uphold a reputation. Kind of like how I said, with having lots of communication can either be a risk or it can provide lots of opportunities. If you're uncomfortable sharing some of your input or are scared to receive feedback, that might hold back your company. But at the same time, if you're super open with your communication, you have a supportive staff, you can definitely navigate those problems and battle a lot of the diversity and handle success well. Following that, we have the peer discussion that we had completed this week. So these are going to be based off my original comment and the 5 replies I received on that. So I want to start with the first point is respect, and just like I said, respecting the community, respecting the businesses. So supporting various work styles and communication styles can foster a creative and healthy work environment. Kind of elaborating to my first point, how it's not only just about the CEOs and the managers, but it's also about even the lowest of employees, taking care of them and making sure that they feel heard, because this really opens the gateway for a creative and fun and healthy work environment. Kind of bouncing off that, we have open dialogues, so just making sure everyone's heard and like maybe doing some team building activities are necessary kind of for overcoming like cultural differences and maybe like positioning where some people maybe don't feel like comfortable sharing or doing a certain thing because of their position in the company. Um, Following that, we have embracement. Embracing cultural differences improves problem solving and networking. Kind of like how I talked on my last slide about my inputs. I definitely think this is a huge one. It's either a risk factor or an opportunity maker. Really depends how you handle it in management or manage it. But if you are able to manage it, it's huge for your company. Following that, I have my concluding statements. Managing diversity in a global scale enhances creativity and collaboration. Like I said earlier, as you expand and have more people on your team, you'll need to be able to have that good communication and be able to accommodate to everyone's style, schedules, and whatnot. Following that, we have understanding and respecting cultural differences is needed for effective communication. Pretty similar to the last point I made. I've really driven this point home. Um, Open communication and team building helps bridge cultural gaps and improves opportunity. So yeah, whether when you're like really scaling up in businesses and you are looking to make that move overseas or are trying to even just tap into a new market, having those resources and networking really can help connect and fill in some of those spots or opportunities that you need. Following that, and our final point of the presentation is addressing challenges like hierarchy. Like if you feel like you're too small in a company or don't have enough say, and like just having a way to receive feedback and give feedback ensures like a smoother, just like a smoother and more collaborative team across all across all categories. And then I would like to give credit to my works cited. I have the article that I took from The Guardian that was published in 2018 about the Starbucks racial bias incident. I have where I gathered lots of my information on about how ethics are important and why I was able to speak so well and proper on and inform you guys on why ethics are important and needed and what are they. And lastly, I did use lots of class resources from Business 15773 at Trident College on February 2025. Thank you so much, and please let me know if we have any further questions.